We're into day 4. Our crops are all planted, and there's not really a lot else for us to do, really, until something starts growing. So we're going to get on with some odd jobs. Hello again, I am Jim Bob, and welcome to American Midwest. So last time out, we were trying to sell some silage, and then I made the mistake of knocking the conveyor belt, which broke the stream and crashed the market price down quite substantially. That price has now sort of rebounded, but it is on its way down. If we take a look at the price, you can see that it is currently worth $459 per 1,000 litres. We've got 65,000 litres according to that, but that's what's in storage at the main farm, so ignore that. In terms of what we've got left in the bunker, let's pull up the help menu. We have in here about 51,000 litres left, and we've probably got at least 80 to 100,000 litres sort of piled up here, ready to feed the belt. So we're going to quickly get this restarted. So I'm going to need to fold the wheels in so I can rotate this thing round, start the engine. And there we go. Turn the engine off. Make sure everything is feeding correctly. It is good. Let's hop back into our leased JCB. Obviously, because we had to wait overnight, we have incurred an additional leasing cost for the start of a fresh day. It's not too expensive, you know, a new day cost. How much is it actually? Let's have a look. Wheel loaders. Wheel loaders are per day an extra 1,456, so not that expensive. Something that we could definitely afford. I'm trying to figure out why my money, is it because I bought... Why is my money down? I don't know. I sworn I had a little bit more cash than that a moment ago. Trying to figure out why my... Unless maybe... I think the front conveyor belt is leased. We don't actually own that, and I think I might have just been charged. Oh no, it's the excavator. Look, the JCB. It's just ticked over to 1 hour, which means that we've just incurred a single hour cost of around about 6,000-7,000 for the next. So we've got another hour's worth of use out of this thing. That's why I jumped in it and it broke the financing. So we're going to continue to, as I say, shovel silage up here so that the belts can feed it all in at the same price. Hopefully we can get it all through. Just realised we need to speed time up. There we go. Get it running at the right speed. That'll also get it moving through the processor a lot quicker. It runs... The shredders, they fill up and hit their 50,000 limit, and then start sputtering until as that limit, you know, keeps continually getting hit if you're running at real time. And if you're running at ×5, then the shredder actually processes faster than the belt can load, so it will go down and keep going down until you reach the point where, you know, the shredder is continually empty. So we won't get any slowdown in the delivery of that. But of course, running at ×5 does mean that the market fluctuations come into effect quicker. Now we're not getting a fluctuation in terms of per sale, because this is all one continuous sale. So everything here will go through at whatever the market price is, but the market price is doing its own natural fluctuation, which is why it is starting to dip. And sooner or later that is going to drop to 458, then 457, and so on and so forth. And each time that happens, we'll be losing a tiny little bit of value from our silage here, but it's going to be a tiny little amount of change. I'm quite happy to suffer that, so to speak. We're still making a decent amount of cash, and I'd kind of like to, get this out the way and done, seeing as we don't really, as I say, have that much else to do with things at the moment. We need our crops to start growing, which they haven't done yet. We have no more fields left to plant, and our animals are reasonably healthy. We'll check in on the animals again in a moment. And of course we topped up and rebuilt the orchard a little bit yesterday as well, so the orchard is in fine shape. There's no need to go and apply more manure or water to that yet. So we really are kind of just sitting on our thumbs a little bit until something happens. I did look at the idea of potentially bringing some sheep in on this episode, but the price of sheep at the moment is about as high as it can go. They are very expensive at the moment. It's like the worst possible time of the year to buy them. So we won't be adding sheep until later in the year, probably towards the end of summer, beginning of autumn time. But we will definitely be adding some sheep on this farm. We already have the pigs and the cows, and I'm probably going to sell off some pigs tomorrow. The market is looking as though it could be quite good to sell some animals tomorrow. We did buy that animal trailer. I think that's parked up, if I remember rightly, at our beet storage area just over there. We're going to do some beet work as well. We have a large amount of beets that are sitting there doing nothing. So we're probably going to do some manual selling of those using our custom sell point. That means we'll either have to manually load them bucket by bucket into the allocated sell point area, or turn them into pallets and then sell the pallets. I'm not entirely sure which way I want to go, but I'm thinking turn them into pallets and then sell the pallets, because then we can keep the price fixed a little bit more and we can sell multiple pallets all at once. As long as we keep adding more and more pallets before they all disappear, we should, in theory, be able to sell them all at the same price. Rather like with wool pallets, when you try and sell wool, it just continually empties the pallet until the pallet is gone, and if there's another pallet there, it'll start emptying that pallet, and then so on and so forth until it runs out of pallets to empty. And once that's done, and there's no more pallets, it'll give you a final price and then crash the market. Based on how many pallets and how much material you've sold. So we might be able to get away with doing that, make a whole bunch of pallets, feed them all in at once, and then that'll give us time to make some more pallets while those are being processed, or at least grab some more pallets and load those. Oh, just saw a little jump on the conveyor belt there as the silage heap shifted slightly. Got to be careful that doesn't break the connection to the big belt there. Everything seems to be okay. Let's ease this bit of silage down. We have now emptied the silos, so this is essentially everything that's left. Whatever you see in front of us, this is how much we've got left to sell. It'll be interesting to see how much money we end up with. All of the silage from the previous run, all the money raised from that silage run, did go back into the bank. So financially, we are, I think, around about $80,000 in debt. Let's take a look. $85,000 in debt. So that's not too bad. That's nice and healthy. We're making good money every day with our cows. Even if it's not fantastic money compared to regular gameplay, it's still good money, and it's still helping us turn a profit. And of course we've doubled the size of the orchard, so financially this is a very strong farm. We can afford to probably go ahead and max out our loan on equipment and maybe some more fields as well, and still continue to run a profit and pay that loan back relatively quickly in comparison to, say, Seasons in the Valley or Gorala, where obviously those are brand new farms that are still being established. This one obviously was well established long before we converted it over to Seasons, so it was already running nicely and running a nice little profit. Now it's a case of kind of really ramping it up and taking it to the next level. So obviously, in terms of the equipment that I want to bring in, we're going to be bringing in a big M to help out with our mowing. And what I also want to do is I want to get into some corn chaffing so we can really start to attack the BGA in the future. Because some of the fields on this map are quite expensive, you know, pushing up towards the million mark on some of them. And that's quite a lot. And of course, we can't earn a lot of money from contracting nowadays, or at least not with seasons. You know, the algorithm is completely different. There's no time bonuses, so the payout for working, you know, contract jobs is tiny compared to what it would normally be. Which means if we want to really raise a lot of cash in a hurry for a big farm or for a big field, we need to earn it another way. So what I'm thinking is, obviously we're getting the big M. I'm also thinking that what we do is we get one of these, a big X580, and we do some corn chaffing. And I've been looking at some fields to see if I can figure out which one I want to go with. Oh, there we go, we had a break in the sale. And that's dropped the price down to $3.98. It's breaking again repeatedly, look, because of the belt's position. Let's fix this. This isn't great. There we go. Belt's repositioned. Let's reposition this one so it doesn't keep slipping and breaking constantly. We're just going to sell the rest of it now. So we're going to lose a little bit on this remaining silage, but at least we are going to get it all sold. There's no point keeping it. And it's a long trip to take, you know, this small amount all the way up to the top farm and stick it in storage, especially when we have a load of TMR already. So there's no great need for extra silage up there on top of what we already have. So yeah, we'll let that continue to sell. Let's turn the engine off on this so we don't keep paying for it. So yeah, I'm looking at new fields, looking to see what we can do and where we can go to expand. So what I want to do is I want to see just how big a loan we can actually take out on this farm. So let's just hit the borrow button, see exactly how high we can go. This will give us around about 80% of the value of our farm, plus land, plus equipment. Obviously we have a lot of livestock, which is going to contribute to that. And at the moment, a lot of valuable livestock as well. All the prices for animals are pretty high right now. So we should get a really big loan available to us. We're not going to max it out right now. Not at all. But I want to see just how high we can go. Over $1 million. Wow, that's awesome. Now, I know it does max at 1.5 regardless of the value of your farm, but look at this. We're still going. And there we go. We hit the 1.5 default limit. You can't go above a maximum loan of 1.5. And we have a farm that is really profitable, generating a good income, has a lot of good assets to it, and surpasses that 1.5 million cutoff point. So wow, we can go kind of a little bit crazy. Let me see exactly what we want to add in. Still selling the last of that little bit of silage there as well. I'm hoping that'll all get collected. It looks like it's taking from everywhere, so we haven't got to worry about anything being left on the floor. That's good. So I'm going to be selling some beets probably as well, so we're going to get even more kind of cash towards it. But let's take a look at some land, see what there is that we can potentially buy. Now, I like the idea of adding this field into our farmland, because it does fit very nicely with these ones here. Now, this field, though, this field is perfect for the BGA. It's quite a pricey field, though, because it's going to be a pricey field. I mean, it's a big field, very big field. So let's go and see just how expensive it's going to be. But in terms of access for the BGA, well, look, you drive out. And there's the farm access point just there, or the field access point, and there's the other entrance to the BGA. So it's literally you just cross the road and you're there. That's really, really good. So how much is this field? 866,000. Ooh, that is pricey. That is very pricey indeed. But in terms of corn chaffing, we put corn on that thing and then chaff it and stick it in the bunker. We're going to make a huge amount of money. An insane amount of money. And that means we can dedicate a lot more of our grass to actual baling rather than money making. Which is good because we're going to need a lot of grass given, you know, the animals that we've got. That's something else we could do. We could invest some of this money into expanding our animals. But how much do we going to have to spend on everything else? Well, this is going to cost me 275. Plus, I'm going to need the chaffer. That's 28 for that one. Now, I could go for the 1100, but we're using the 1100 on Big Bud Farm, so I'd rather use something a little bit different. So I'm thinking this one here. It's not the biggest working width. It's, what, 6 meters? I don't really want to go up to a 9 meter working width. And that one there is 10.5. That's going to be too heavy for our 580. It's going to really dig into the ground a bit. So, so we're looking at 275, effectively 300 for that. And the Big M, I think, is going to cost us about 290, if that memory serves me correct. Where are mowers? There. So the Big M is good, yeah, 290. So now we're looking at rounding up 600. Now if we take out this field as well, that's the entire loan. And you can see this field here is 860. So we add 600 onto that, that's 1.46. That's essentially every every cent of our loan. I don't want to go that into debt for just one field because it doesn't add any extra land for us to actually get crops on, and that's going to be a way that we can make money back. So it has got soybean on it though, so we could put the corn chaffing on hold. Can we plant winter corn or later? No, we can't plant late corn. I was wondering if maybe we could harvest the soybean and put some corn on there afterwards, but we can't. You'll see now that the growth temperature is now 10 degrees. You can see there in the top right, our ground temperature is now 10 degrees, as is our air temperature, coincidentally, which means the crops that we planted yesterday will start to germinate now. They will start to grow, albeit a day behind the day that they were planted. So if this field is 866, that's probably a little bit too expensive for this year. That's probably a next year project. So if that's the case, let's see if we can find another field that we could put corn on, and then we could chaff this, perhaps. How about field 7 all the way up here? How much is this field going to cost us? 214. That's not bad. We could put corn on that for the pigs. It's a good size. It's 2.5 hectares, so we'll get a nice good return of corn. It's close to our animals, so it's not far to transport it over here to the silo. I kind of like that idea. Obviously we've got wheat here, we've got barley here. If we do pick up this field, that's more wheat as well. So we'll have a nice surplus of a grain crop for them. I would like to maybe pick up an extra couple of fields, if possible, that we can actually make money on. So that's kind of an animal crop field. That's an animal crop field, although we can make money on the straw, or some of the straw, because we are going to need some of it. This would become probably an animal crop field, and then that can maybe become a sellable commodity, the barley. This is our money down here, which isn't bad, but I'd like to maybe do a bit more than that. So where else could we get a field that's actually going to be good for money? could maybe buy field 4, put some canola on that, and then use that canola to go into the silos, and then this canola could be sold. How much would this field cost us? That's 488. So we still need the big M, so that's 300 plus this field here. We're now talking 780. Plus this field was what, 220, so that's a million. And then this field here is 503, so we can't afford that field if we do it that way. Although we could maybe bring the prices down a little bit with some contract work here and here. So yeah, let's look at doing that. Like I say, we can kind of get away with it because we've got a really, really strong economy on our farm. We've got, as I say, all those trees from the orchard bringing us in a nice hourly rate. We've got the cows producing a lot of milk. We can sell some of our pigs tomorrow when the market price peaks for pigs and make some money that way as well. Yeah, I think we're going to do that. And that way we'll still be within the planting window that we can actually pick up those bits of equipment. And then later in the year, as the corn that we're going to plant for chaffing then becomes chaffable, then we can look at having made some money back. Then we can look at picking up our Big X 580 and get some corn chaffing underway so we can really make some money at the BGA. I think that's going to be our roadmap for the next few months on this. That's where we're going to make the money. I want to return it here, of course. I keep forgetting there is no return point at the store. We've got to take this all the way to the farm. That is a little bit frustrating, but it is what it is. So with our silage sold, we're going to go and make our way up to the two fields that we do want to get some contract work done on before we purchase them, just to bring their price down ever so slightly. So that's the field that currently has potatoes on. We're going to do a little bit of contract work on that, and then we're going to buy it. And once we've bought it, we're going to rip it up and plough it out so that we can then replant it with the crop that we do want. We have a 25 limit here, don't we? Joyous. So field 4 is the field with potatoes on it. We're going to rip that field up. We're going to plant that with canola. And then field 7, we're going to rip that field up as well once we've done a job or two on that. And then we're going to plant corn on that field. And those will then give us the commodities for our animals that we currently have planted on 10 and 12. And then 10 can be added into our crops to sell at the end of the year. And the corn can then be chaffed a little bit later in the year into the BGA. Now, because we don't have enough and we still want to keep the crop that's on field 25, we're not going to buy that just yet, so that we can get another couple of contract jobs on that, you know, before we buy it, potentially. I want to keep the natural fertilizing going, so if we're only offered synthetic fertilization on that field, then we probably won't go ahead and do a job on it. We'll probably just buy it, but I'd like to have that option if possible. So here we are up on field 7. Let's see what job we can get on here. Some slurry spreading. Yep, we'll take that. So we'll start this. This shouldn't take us more than a couple of minutes to do. You can see we're being given 7:50 on the clock, so we're probably looking at about 3.5 to 4 minutes once I actually get onto the field. Got to get turned around first of all. go. So now we just need to run up and down this field a couple of times. This should hopefully knock a nice little bit of cash off the field. If we can get this down to under 200,000, that'll be great, but I don't think we'll get quite that much of a discount. But yeah, once this is, say, ready for us, because it's already got a grain on it, the temptation is to maybe let that grow an extra stage before we plant it, or before we plough it, so we can then cultivate and grind that into the soil and gain an additional stage of fertilizer for free. But I don't know how long it's going to take for this field to reach that first stage of growth, and I don't want to push us outside of the optimal growth window for whatever we want to plant next. So I think the safest course of action will be to just plough it straight away, rather than letting it grow a bit first and then ploughing it. We are going to lose that stage of fertilizer, you know, that we would get for ploughing in a growing crop, but like I say, I just don't want to run the risk of not having the right time left to actually plant something that I want to put in this field. A little bit off the side there. Let's try and pull back in a bit. There we go. So I'm going to get this field finished, and once this is done, we'll see where we stand financially with this field. And there we go. So got a grand off the fields. Well, we've got the field down to 209. That's not too bad, but no more jobs available. So yeah, it's time for us to buy this field. There we go. We now own this field, so we're ready to plough this one. And let's go and do the same on field 4. Actually, I really like the way this field is kind of tucked away just off the main road with this little sort of sloped access point here. It's pretty cool. I do like that. So field 4 is just across the way. Nothing coming, good. That's one of our little grass meadows that we'll be attacking. Probably with a big M. And here is the field. So let's see what we can do about this one. Let's park out of the way. We should be clear enough, I think, there for equipment to spawn in. Now you can see the furrows for the spuds. Again, we have a fertilising job that we can get done. So we'll do this, and then we'll buy the field, and then we'll plough those spuds in. And this time, we have a pretty meaty Optum to do the job for us. Interestingly enough, look, you can see we don't have care wheels. I know with beets, any kind of driving on the beets, you know, regardless of their ground stage, you know, instantly causes damage to the field. Looks as though that's not a factor with potatoes. And there we go. We are off and running, fertilising yet another field. Bringing another field to its conclusion here. And we'll do the same again, so we'll buy this field as soon as we've finished this job. Hopefully we'll get a nice little discount on it. It was what, 488 I think it was when we looked at it to take this job on. Let's see what it ends up at. Even if it only saves us 5-6 grand, you know, it helps. It all helps. And there we go. We got 2.25 for that one. That's not bad. And it's down to 479. So we saved what, 8-9 grand on that one. That's kind of cool. So we'll buy this field now. And now we need to go grab our plough. Start ripping these two fields up. So, quickest way for us to do that is to head this way. Now the speed limit is about to change to 35, so I have to slow down on the old cruise control. There we go. And then once we round the corner we can hit 50 again, bomb back to the farm, pick up our plough, bring it up this way. And I'm trying to think which tractor to use. I think we'll use our Challenger for that. That might be the best one to go with. Use the Culti plough. Yes, we'll use the Challenger with the Culti plough. So let's go grab that equipment, take it up to the farm, take it up to those fields, cultivate them out, and then we'll be in a position to actually put in those crops. That's probably going to take us most of the day, so I'll see you on the fields with the right tools in just a moment. Okay, so here we are at the farm, or at the field. Let's unfold our Culti plough. I don't use this thing often enough. It's really is an awesome piece of kit from the Big Bud DLC. And it's kind of perfect for this map when you think about it. We can't expand the fields at all because of the crop issue, or the texture issue with the grass. So this is pretty much all you'll ever need when it comes to actually cultivating your fields and ploughing your fields. Something that does an all-in-one job like this. Decent working width. And the great thing about chewing up this potato field is that I have this really nice grid work to work from. You can see that I've got, you know, these beautiful straight lines for me to just line that little point up on the nose of the cab and make sure that I'm always going to be in a perfectly straight line. So once I get lined up on each turn, staying in a straight line should not be an issue. So I'm going to be doing all of this manually, partly because I haven't done that much manual work so far in seasons on this farm. We tend to let the workers do quite a bit of it for us, and also I really enjoy driving these Challengers. So yeah, this is going to take me quite a while because we're only moving at 7 miles an hour. We have an 8-meter working width, but we are ploughing and cultivating at the same time. A lot of ground to cover, but we'll get it done. So we've been running in-game for a little over an hour. Oops. great demand at the Ferguson grain elevator for canola. Only runs for 6 hours. Again, we don't have any canola that we can spare for a sale. I don't even know if we've got any at all now. I think we used pretty much the last of our supply on our pigs. Or do we have a little bit left over? But regardless, unfortunately, we have a great demand that we just don't have anything that we can afford to sell. I think it's going to be pretty much, that's going to be the case for any great demand that pops up in the first year, you know, until we get to a point towards the end of the year when we'll actually have some products that we can sell off. But yeah, we're about a third of the way through the field. We've been running for, well, closing in, I suppose now. I think it was like 9:40 when we started. So closing in now on an hour and a half in-game of running. We're about a third of the way through. Shouldn't take us too much longer to get done. So I reckon sort of by about 1, maybe 2 PM this field should be done. What we'll do then is we'll get a worker to come and plant on this field for us while we go off and cultivate and plough field 7 over there. And you'll notice that I'm lifting the tool up on every pass. I slowed down cruise control so that it's only a fraction faster than operating speed. I did try running at 7, but I found that the speed kept fluctuating a bit too much, but it still does that anyway, so I might as well knock that back down a touch. But this allows me to make turns without the tractor just lurching forward at full speed, and actually lift the equipment off before I make, you know, as I make the turn, and then drop it back down again when I get to the end of the next path, or, you know, get to the next row. Just adds a little bit more realism, I think, you know, rather than just dragging it across the floor. It's something I want to try and experiment with a bit more and try and get in the habit of doing. Generally what I tend to do, especially when, you know, seeding or cultivating, is I'll just leave the seeder down and just drag it across my turning area before getting back onto the field again. And on some maps that's fine. On other maps, when the fields are quite closely packed together, then that becomes a bit of a real issue, that, you know, you risk accidentally ripping up or planting somewhere where you don't want to. So yeah, trying out this new kind of tactic, I suppose, is, I don't know if that's the way to describe this, but this new style of working the field, seeing if I can get in the habit of doing that. I just have to remember I need to keep resetting the working speed, or the cruise control speed, down to match the working speed, so that I can do it without any major issues. So give it a lift, give it a turn, try and find myself lined up, drop it down, and there we go. Yeah, trying to get in the habit of doing this a bit more often. I just think it looks a little bit better and a little bit more realistic. So anyway, a load more of this build to do. I'm going to carry on working away, and I'll catch up with you again in a little while. So this plough job is taking a little bit longer than I thought it would do, but we're still making pretty good time. Almost done with this pass, and just drifting slightly at the edge there. We'll have to correct that. Been pretty good actually so far. I've barely missed any little strips like this. I think this is like only the 3rd time this has happened, where I've just drifted ever so slightly without paying attention and just caused a slight little rip or break in the connection. But I think I might possibly be able to do all of this in a single pass. Yeah, it looks as though we can. That's pretty good. Oh, here comes the rain. You can see it's suddenly starting to get a little bit cloudier. So it looks around about 2 o'clock we're going to actually start getting water and rain appearing on the screen. Maybe even quicker than that. There we go. So this is going to be our canola field. Although actually I might make this is the larger of the two, so I might make this the cornfield, make 7 canola. I'll check my supplies, see how much of each of those I've actually got once we've finished cultivating this field. Then we'll go grab the seeder, we'll get him up here, and we'll program a worker to actually start planting on this field for us. And then we will go and work on field 7 with our Challenger and our Cultiplow, while our worker is seeding on here for us. Try and get 2 jobs done at the same time. Although possibly I could just do the seeding myself tomorrow. And tomorrow is what? Tomorrow's day 5. And then we've still got day 6 before we get into summer. And I think our grass isn't going to be ready until summer at the earliest, so yeah, I'll do the planting myself, I think, manually tomorrow. So let's just check our progress. Did we leave any red bits? Nope, there we go. A nice clean field, which already has stage 1 fertilisation on it. So yeah, rather than getting a worker to do it, we'll do the seeding ourselves tomorrow, because otherwise we're not going to have anything to do on day 6. You know, we can do some beet selling and stuff tomorrow, but the great thing with workers is that it gets stuff done really quickly. But when you're doing a series like this and you've got so many days in a season, if you do it all too quickly, you end up with nothing to do for the second half of the season. And I don't really want to skip days if I can help it. Really is getting quite dark now, as you can see. I need to put our lights on soon at this rate. Got a little storage area here as well. We can take advantage of that with something. Not quite sure what we'll put in there just yet. Oh, and here comes the rain. You can see it's just starting now. Right, so before we go any further, let's see, what do we actually have? We still have corn. We've still got a decent amount of corn, and we've got practically nothing left canola-wise. So yeah, the larger field will need to be the canola field. Otherwise, we are going to run the risk of just not having enough stuff. It's such a shame. Look at that price at canola at the Ferguson grain elevator as well. 17.5. That's a really, really good price for canola. That's a huge price for canola, and we just don't have anything to sell. It's always the way. Whenever we get a really, really good, strong price, we never have anything to sell. And when we have stuff to sell and we get a great demand, it's usually not a particularly good one. Them's the breaks, I suppose. Right, so this one's going to be a little bit tougher to follow, because we don't have the furrows, but we do still have straight-ish kind of lines, as you can see from the seed bed. So we should still be able to keep a reasonably straight line going without too much effort. The only trouble is if I drift away, it's going to be sometimes a little bit tricky to see exactly which of these lines I'm following. Although you can usually see there are some heavier lines, sections there. Much easier to see that when you're looking overhead. You can see kind of where the centre section is of each block. And you can see those darker lines creating that kind of grid where the textures are latched together and stitched together. One other thing I've noticed as well, and I think this is a Seasons thing that's done this. I don't know if it's Seasons that's done this, or if it's the last patch 1.5.3 that's done this. But I haven't seen equipment getting washed in the rain anymore. The other day when I got back to the farm and it had been raining, our cultivator, sorry, not our cultivator, I think it was our seeder, and our quad track were both really dirty, and they'd been running in the rain for a little while, and even driving back to the farm, the rain wasn't cleaning the equipment on the way back. So I don't know if that's something that's been disabled with seasons, or if it's something that happened in regular gameplay, because I don't really play, if I'm honest, regular farm sim that much anymore. I tend to play a lot of stuff with seasons, and that's about it. But I haven't seen equipment getting cleaned in the rain since I spotted it. I hadn't really paid any attention to it before, so I don't know how long that's been in effect. I'm guessing it's since Seasons came out, but since I've only really played Seasons and haven't had rain on Big Bud Farm for a while, I honestly don't know if it's affected everything or if it only affects Seasons itself. So if you have seen that yourself, then do please let me know in the comments, because I am really curious about that, whether that is something that's a byproduct of the Seasons patch, or if it's something that is limited strictly to Seasons itself, whether the equipment gets cleaned in the rain or not. Not too much of this field left to go now, as you can see. Just one more pass to go once we complete this one here. And the money is going up. You can see up to 805,000. That's those trees spitting out some very nice hourly income for us. So this is why I felt, comfortable going ahead and spending all this extra cash today, because we have a really good, source of income on our farm with our orchard and our dairy production. If we didn't have those, I wouldn't have done this, but those will allow us to pay the loan off incrementally pretty quickly, I suppose. We're not going to go over the top. The money that we've got left is going to get kind of returned as well. I've got one last thing to buy, and that is the Big M. We'll pick that up once this field is finished. We'll pick that up and then take that back to the farm. Actually, no, we'll take it over to the BGA, which is where it's going to live, in the shed over there. We're going to keep our Big X 580 at the BGA once we get that on the farm as well. So we'll have a nice good pair of Chrono machines there. But then the rest of it will go into the bank. There's no point hanging on to that money and having a huge... God, I dread to think just how big the the interest repayments are going to be on a $1.5 million loan. I'm guessing pretty high. Got to be nearly 5 figures, I would have thought. In fact, shall we find out? Yeah, I'm really curious as to just how much it's going to be. So, just for today, I am going to leave that money in my account and keep the loan maxed at 1.5 million, just so I can see just how much our interest payments are going to be. And remember, we're playing on medium on this farm. If this was a hard farm, then it could be even higher than what we'll end up paying, because I do believe the loan payments do go up and the interest rates are higher the harder the difficulty that you're playing on. But there we go. The second of our brand new addition fields is done. That's now cultivated as well. Let's turn the working lights off. And let's see just how dirty the equipment is. So you can see how dirty our Cultiplow is right now. Let's see if it's still as dirty in a little while once we get it back to the farm, and we'll leave it there and see if it cleans up a bit. But I don't think it will. And our tractor is looking dirty as well. You can see we've got mud splashed on the side and on the front and on the roof and on those rear wheel arches. Most of that should wash away in the rain as it used to, but I don't think it's going to. Alright, let's get our hazards on. And we're going to take this back to the farm and then pick up our Big M. So I'll see you in a little while. Alright, so I'm going to park this here and leave this by the wash station so that we can clean it properly in a moment. But you can see just how dirty our tractor is looking, how dirty our coulter plough is looking, and I'll bet you they're still just as dirty in a little while. I don't think the rain is having any effect on this equipment. It certainly didn't yesterday when I was putting away the quad track. Right, so Big M. Let's see, mowers. There we go. Here is the Big M. The rim colour just seems a little bit wrong, so I'm going to look at changing that, and I'm trying to think what would be the best colour to go with. Don't really want to go with black rims, but I think could maybe go with the dark green. Match the green of the... it's the wrong green though. So the colours are wrong on this Big M. You know, you can see the colours that it should be just there, and the colours that we get don't match. Let's go with dark grey rims, I suppose, and let's buy that. There we go. So we have 518,000. We actually have enough to be able to afford to buy. Oops, wrong menu. We actually have enough now to be able to afford to buy Field 25, but as you know, I don't really want to spend that money just yet. Although, oh, it's a tough one. Yeah, screw it. Let's commit. Let's buy this field as well. There's no jobs to get, so there we go. So we have a whopping $14,506 left, and we now have a $1.5 million debt on the farm. But we have everything we need. Here is our brand new Big M. I do love this thing. I'm going to take this over to the BGA. I'm actually going to pull out in front of this car here. Can't quite see it in the mirrors, but I think I've passed it. Yeah, there it is, lurking behind us. We'll get this down at the BGA, we'll get it put away, and then we'll call it a day, I think. So nothing to do now, but wait and see just what our loan expenses are going to be when it turns midnight. We'll be able to check that in the financing tab tomorrow. We'll be able to see just what our loan interest payments were. They're going to be high, and they could well be 5 figures. We could be over 10 grand. It wouldn't at all surprise me if that is the case, given how much money we've just we've just taken out. But I'm not worried about that. You know, as I say, we are going to be able to pay that loan back relatively quickly. We have everything we need. We just need to plant some more seed. Once the seed is planted, we'll have all of our fields done and prepped. We'll be weeding to fertilise those fields, and we'll drop some slurry and some manure on the ones that we've done today before we actually plant those. So we'll have a little bit of extra fertilisation on those fields. We'll have 2 stages instead of 1 compared to the rest. That'll save us a bit of effort. And then when the harvest comes, we'll have a load of grains to sell, as well as grains to use for our animals. We'll be able to sell some pigs tomorrow when the market is going to be at its absolute peak, according to this. We scroll down to pigs. You can see tomorrow is going to be the best day of the year to sell pigs, so we're looking forward to selling some of those tomorrow. And then obviously we're going to have income from bales as well. We've got the cows, we've got the orchard. As long as we keep on top of the orchard, make sure it's fully stocked with water and manure, we will be in a very healthy financial position in by the end of the year. Hopefully enough to actually buy a big X580 and have that working and chaffing to make silage, in which case we'll make a lot more money a lot quicker as well. So there we go, that's kind of the plan. We'll see how everything goes. Before we do disappear, I'm just about to, but I'm just going to quickly whiz back to the farm. And still pretty filthy. It's been out in the rain, it should be a little bit cleaner than this by now, and nothing. So yeah, I don't think the rain works. Remember, let me know in the comments if you are having the same issue outside of seasons, because I am really curious if this is season specific or if it's something that has happened to the base game itself. So thanks for watching. I'm Jim Bob, and I'll be back with some more American Midwest very soon.